morning, everyone. Greetings from Andhra Pradesh. Thank you, everyone, for giving us this opportunity and also joining in discussing about very important integral issues of our society. Thank you, Shafiq, for that agonizing presentation. I really see I can relate to what you're saying and how you feel about child marriages, and it's not just the issue of an individual but a look beyond the actual issue. uh, while I share my thoughts on child trafficking, I want to first of all share a little just about the statistics of child trafficking. If you can go to the next slide. So, what does the world statistics say about trafficking? I know, or I'm assuming that all of us know what is trafficking. So, not going details into trafficking, but talking about the statistics on the world's perspective. So, it says at least 40.3 million people are victimized or exploited under the name of trafficking. Now, out of this 40.3%, 3 million, 25% of them are children. And this is not the statistics of one particular season, but the ILO says this is a statistics of at any given point in time. And I'm sure that these statistics would have gone high during this pandemic. And look at the other statistics that talks about the age profile. 152 million children in child labor across the world. And then what are the estimates of the economic activities, the exploitation that these children go through? Moving on. Now, does child trafficking happen in India? Very much in India. India is just not considered as the origin country, but is also considered as a transit country and the destination country. And it is rampant for internal and domestic trafficking or domestic exploitation. A lot of us assume that unless we are NGO activists, a lot of us common people assume that, oh, trafficking, sexual exploitation doesn't happen for Indians. It happens only for international trade. But little do we realize that 90% of trafficking is for domestic consumption, is for internal usage or exploitation, or for various kinds of labor work or exploitation. Moving on. Now, the other statistics, right, just in India on what are the number of people that are trafficked per day and the number of victims. And if you can, look over here, 59% of them are below 18, are minors, 59% of 18.3 million people. That's more than half a percent. Moving on. Yeah. So what are the top five purposes for which trafficking happens? Yes, child marriages is one of the major component, but I think even before a child comes to the marriageable age or maturity age, there is a clause for marriage, right? That the girl has to be matured, right? But even before the girl can step into the maturity age, the preliminary age, the primary age is spent as forced labor, is spent in begging, is spent in bricklines, is spent in doing various other factory works. Bangle industry is one of the famous industry for child labor, not the normal bangles, but the glass bangles, mostly because children's hands are very tiny and they're very flexible. So the shape of the bangle is more accurate when a child does the labor work. So, and then the other second exploitation is obviously sexual exploitation and pushed into various other forms of pornography and prostitution. Yeah, and then the other forms, domestic servitude, forced marriages also take place. And look at the number. Moving on. Yeah, so there was once upon a time where trafficking, labor, exploitation, sexual exploitation happened only for girls. But now's era, with the 21st era and so-called Kal Yug, the advent of boys being pushed into all of this, all kind of exploitation is growing day by day, be it pornography, be it sexual exploitation, be it forced labor. A lot of exploitation is increasing on male child, especially exploitation in the Goa beaches talks about how boys are exploited by European foreigners or by European people into various kinds of sexual works. Moving on. Yeah, this reports again by NCRB, which talks about the number of traffic, the number of rescued, and the number of case registered. The curve kind of declines by each aspect. And look at the minors that are below 18 years. Staggering numbers, I would say. And obviously the registered case and justified cases are, I think, even more under the carpet. Moving on. Yeah, the top 5 states where children are mostly trafficked. First is West Bengal. I don't know how many of you know this fact, but India is so huge in all of its resources. We couldn't amount to anything huge except for being the second largest, Asia's largest red light area, which is in India, which is in West Bengal. And Sonagachi is the area which has almost 100 years of history, where women are pushed, children are pushed into traffic, into exploitation, into various kinds of exploitation, and especially sexual exploitation. While West Bengal being the top, here is Rajasthan, followed by Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, and Karnataka, where these are the 5 largest or the most child trafficked areas. I'm sure Andhra Pradesh is there somewhere, but I think it's not on the top list though. Moving on. Now, did exploitation, did trafficking happen during COVID? Very much. The very fact that we do not have food to eat pushed people, pushed marginalized communities into beggary. I was told a story of a case of from one of the domestic violence activists, that while they were serving food in one of the community, she went on to check the serving at the other community, and she saw the same children coming day after day into 3 different streets or 3 different communities. Then she was very curious, inquisitive, and asked them, "Why are you coming again and again to various places?" You know what? When the children mother was asked this, what did she say? She was like, "My husband is hitting me every day because we're serving him the same food. That's why I send my children to various other streets, thinking that it is a different serve there." But little did they realize that it is the same food or the same NGO that is serving food across the streets. Beggary, labor, with agriculture, season, I think most of the children would be pushed into child labor. And Shafiq rightly pointed out, midday meals is not like a offer on Amazon that people will come bogging into it and buy and educate their children or join their children at least for midday meals. That's, it's not even healthy meal. Very, very sadly, no. But that is not a fruit for the marginalized community people to ensure that the children are being fed at least. No. Rather, on the contrary, they are pushed into child labor so that at least they eat, they also provide food for the family. Selling of babies, womb trafficking. child abuse, pornography. Pornography has increased drastically. I think not even triple the number during this pandemic. Especially child pornography has increased. Child marriages. Telangana registered around 242 cases just in 1 month on child marriages. Moving on. Yeah, here is the important aspect. And this is again from NHRC. It is estimated that every 8 minutes in India, per 8 minutes in a day, a girl child is gone missing. Now, it's, all that we have to think is a girl child can be missing for various other reasons. One could be that she lost her way from her home to school. She might have lost the way. The second reason could be maybe she fought with her parents and then walked out of the home. Third reason could be maybe she eloped with somebody, or she eloped with a boyfriend. And the fourth case could be a kidnap. But what does NHRC say? NHRC says whatever might be the reason for the girl child to be missing, somebody's my voice is heard. Can you please mute your microphones? Can I request you to mute your microphone, please?
பத்து தடவை சொன்னாலும் டிவி மட்டும் நிற்கவே மாட்டாங்க. நான் உங்களுக்கு வேற தானே பார்த்து வச்சேன். யார் இந்த மீட்டிங் ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டதுனா?
Yeah, could you please mute your microphone? Yeah, thank you. So whatever might be the reason for a child to be missing, NHRC says that this girl child is trafficked. How is trafficking related to when I go out of my home, out of my own wish? Because the society that she steps in, the market that she steps in, right from the first step that she steps out of her home, there is a lot of threat, lot of strangers, lot of predators that are preying on her to be trafficked. So now let's do the calculations. Every 8 minutes, how many hours in a day? How many children are going missing? Now I want to take this thought a little further, adding to what Shafiq has also mentioned. What is the first thing that we do once somebody gets married? 9 months down the line, 1 year down the line, have a baby. That is the primary objective or primary goal that every married couple, mostly, especially in the villages or the marginalized communities, have. They may not think of it, but it happens naturally for most of them. But why aren't they prepared, or why aren't they prepared to make a better provision for their children? Why is it the primary objective for every married couple? There is a parental pressure, there is a societal pressure. But why can't we change this? Why aren't we thinking that, why can't we provide better for our children? Now, because I out of my ignorance, I go on to have babies, even when I don't have a good income or a good source for my family living. I end up pushing my children to labor. I end up getting my child married at an early age because I am not able to provide for them. So it's important for us to understand that why are we getting married? Why are we having children? If we have children, are my children supposed to live the same way that I am living? These questions are very important for us as NGO activists, as human rights activists, to trigger the minds of people that we come in line with, to trigger the minds of people that we communicate on a daily basis. Especially when we are doing awareness programs, we got to give them awareness on the importance of the dynamics of marriage, or their ignorance or foolishness that is causing them to push children into various other hazards. So this is my request to all of you NGO partners, MSW students, to please ensure that you trigger the minds of people that you come in line with. And let's stop asking these questions of what next? When is your marriage? Or, when are you going to have children? Now, even if we consider that somebody has had the children, the important issue is, or the important question is, why are they not able to provide better amenities, better facilities for them? It's food for thought for all of us to think on why are they not able to do it. Now, especially government of Andhra Pradesh, I'm really not happy the way, while they're doing great things, I'm not happy on the way they provide, social entitlements in terms of pension, in terms of unemployment pension, or various kinds of monetary benefits to our Andhrites. You know why? The old proverb that says, teach a person fishing. When you give the person food or fish, it just vanishes within few hours. It just digests it, it's done within few hours. And the fourth hour, he's hungry. So it's important that we teach them on how to earn sustainably, how to earn so that the family or the source of income increases, economic development increases, just not for the family, but also for the state and also for the country. Monetary benefits will not get us so far. It's so momentary. The next question, please. So it's very important that we honor the question of why by giving it a proper solution, by all of us coming together, collaboratively, all the NGOs, all the government, all the education systems, all the marriage system coming together, religious forums coming together, in building a robust mechanism, and in ensuring that the sustainable development of a community, of a region, of a state, of this country increases. Only when we blend both of them, the robust mechanism and the sustainable development together, that's when we can honor the solution to this question. Honor the solution to child trafficking or child marriages, or the issue of starvation, or the issue of reverse migration. Moving on. Yes, this is what I wanted to share on child trafficking. I as an individual, Red Rope as an organization, our vision is to build a child-friendly society, is to build a slavery-free society, is to build a nation free from slavery, free from these exploitations, forceful exploitations. I think our vision can be reached only when all of us come together in ensuring that we create a huge dent in our economy, in our lifestyles, in the system of our marriages, in the system of our living, in the system of our economic development, so that we can change, we can achieve this goal. Thank you so much for having me talk on these issues. Thank you so much, Victor sir, and the Hope organization.